We are back, episode 8, Spread Option Podcast. Brian and Nick here with you. And yet again, I feel like I've been saying this too often lately, but it was not a good week. 4-11. I was at a family party. So I'm going to preface this by saying I could only bet the early, like the 11 o'clock starts. I ended up making money or keeping my losses to air quote a minimum by betting Rutgers, Maryland. There was a prop bet at like plus 350 for each, but it was a $10 limit. Which quarter would have the most points? So it was fourth quarter, midway through the fourth quarter, nobody had scored, and the second quarter had 14 total points. So put the $10 on the second quarter. Rutgers ended up scoring a garbage time touchdown, and that ended. So that was a winner. And it was which half would have more points. First half had 24, second half had 21. So that was another winner. So that cut my losses, but I went 4-11 through the day, and I just kept hammering down Wisconsin as the game went on until it was too late. Mute. You're muted. Try it again.
Well, for this week, I'll restart. You have to cut this.
We'll be good.
Yeah, Brian, at least on my end, broke pretty much even, but my lock of the week was kind of rough. I had Carolina, I think, +1 or -1. I forget what I ended up taking it at, but either way, losing by 6 points to Washington. Rough look for both you and I as we pretty much tore into the Redskins for about a 5-minute segment last week. And then, of course, the Redskins won again.
Naturally.
Yeah, naturally. I mean, they did lose to New Orleans on Drew Brees' record-breaking night. But, we pretty much made fun of the Redskins and kind of said, oh, this is where their season goes down the shitter. They're frauds, blah, 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 blah. And then they come out, gave Carolina every chance in the world to win that game. And Carolina and Cam Newton just couldn't get it together, but actually was the recipient of a heartbreaking bad beat in hockey. So as Brian and I like to do, we like to get on the live betting lines. And
Love them.
So first of all, the Detroit Red Wings, shifting gears, we got a hockey reference, a couple minutes into the show, showing my go with the flow roots, but
keep it going.
Yeah, Detroit is so bad, folks. I mean, just one of the worst teams I've seen in a while. Got a lot of young, interesting forwards, but their goaltending and defense are truly putrid. So anyway, they're playing Toronto, who's an absolute wagon. You've got Tavares, Matthews, Mitch Marner, Morgan Riley. These guys are just lighting it up out there. It's a 4-3 game with like 7 minutes to go in the third period. It's an East Coast game. And my hometown Chicago Blackhawks are playing a Central Time Zone game at Minnesota. So it's 2-2 Hawks Wild going into the third period. And the Hawks in regulation, the full-time 60 minutes I talked about last week at the end of the show, they were plus 255, and the puck line for Toronto was like plus 145. And I threw I think $17 on it, but it should have paid me out 95, right? So
right.
Kind of bored, just threw a couple bucks on this, right? 17's a lot for some people, but it was just a little bit to have fun. I didn't think it was totally reckless. I mean, Toronto gets a miracle empty netter, clear off the boards, directs into the net, totally lucky empty netter, and the Blackhawks go up 3-2 in the third period, and Minnesota's got the goalie pulled, and wouldn't you know it, 23 seconds left, Minnesota buries a shorthanded goal to send it to overtime. 23 seconds away from getting about plus 560 payout, I think it was.
Sounds about right.
So pretty rough. I was quite upset, first of all, being a Blackhawks fan, but then having money on it and being 23 seconds away from a free $95 was kind of frustrating. So, yeah, we had that going for us, but Yeah, Brian, I don't know if you want to get it going with the this week's picks with the college football ranked matchups.
Yeah, let's get into it. We've got Michigan heading to Michigan State. The Wolverines off a blowout win over Wisconsin, one that I was horribly on the wrong side of last week. The Michigan State Spartans enter the rankings after a stunning win against Penn State in Happy Valley. Very low scoring affair. Michigan, 7.5-point favorites here. Over under at 41. It is an 11 a.m. kickoff, which is weird for this kind of game. You'd expect it to be more in that 2:30, 3:30 range, if not a night game. And here we are playing opening kick of the weekend. Who do you like in this one?
Oh, man. I mean, last weekend you told me about this game. I mean, I'm telling you I'm liking Michigan, but Michigan State played really well. Man, that's a low over. I like the over in this game. I don't know, like 40 is just low. Michigan can definitely score, and Michigan State, has proven that they can put up points against good teams to an extent. So I think I like the over. Man, 7.5 though in a rivalry game. I'm so on the fence. I'd like to hear your thoughts because I don't know if it's going to influence my pick or not, but like I'm so on the fence because I mean that's a 2-score. You got to win by 2 scores on the road in a rivalry game at 11 a.m. That's tough.
Yeah, I actually got the line at 7, so I took Michigan. I don't think the 7.5 is going to sway me either way. I think Michigan can win this game by 10 points. I think Shea Patterson is a capable quarterback, which is really all that Michigan needs. Higdon is a great running back. The defense was the biggest piece for me last week. They absolutely dominated Wisconsin. Not that Hornibrook or that offense is anything special, but they did contain Jonathan Taylor to an extent and didn't really give Wisconsin any chance to win the game. They took away or attempted to take away their strongest piece and forced Hornibrook to make plays. Lewerke is a significantly better quarterback and is probably the second best quarterback, third best quarterback in the Big Ten. Depends on how you value Dwayne Haskins and Trace McSorley. But I like Michigan. I think their defense is peaking at the absolute right time. And Michigan State's offense, as we've seen this year, especially against a team like Northwestern, has really struggled to score.
Yeah. I think you got to go Michigan just on the fact that their defense is playing so well and that their defense, is as good as it is. I think their offense, is playing well enough. I'd be so interested if that Notre Dame Michigan game was a couple more games into the season because, man, like you're talking about Michigan in the college football playoff race. I mean, if that game's week 3 and that was a close game anyway with came down to a field goal, but yeah, I think 7.5 is a tough one. I just think that Penn State really just played like shit last week, and I think Michigan's playing a lot better this time of year. So I got to go Michigan, but yeah, I reluctantly take them to win by 2 scores in a rivalry game at 11 a.m.
Right. It's not like East Lansing is the easiest place in the world to play.
Noon for them, but
yeah, it doesn't make a difference. Central Time's better. Next game on the docket, 2:30 start. North Carolina State headed to Clemson, Death Valley. 17-point line here. Massive line. 16th ranked Wolfpack head to town. I am all over the Wolfpack. I think Clemson's going to win this game, but I don't think they blow them out. I think Ryan Finley is one of the more underrated quarterbacks in the ACC and the country. Their defense is decent, but Clemson's offense has gotten rather one-dimensional. I think Trevor Lawrence is good, and he's probably going to make me eat my words after this by throwing for like 5 touchdowns. But North Carolina State's defense is good enough to make plays and force Trevor Lawrence to make plays. Travis Etienne is their biggest playmaker on offense. He's going to get his carries. He's going to pick up some yards, and he's probably going to score at least once. But I'm confident that Finley can keep that offense humming along and, keeping up at least, staying within that 17 points. Yeah,
this is a big spread. The first thing that comes to mind is the fact that Clemson at home didn't exactly look incredible against Syracuse a few weeks ago. But, of course, Lawrence didn't play a lot of that game. God, this week of college football is another tough one to pick.
Yeah. As we go on, it gets harder.
Oh, my God. I love Clemson to win this game. Don't get me wrong. Doesn't everybody? But, damn, 17 – that's a tough one. God, there's so many bad possibilities there with a backdoor cover. It might even be 17.5 on something because I thought I saw it at 17.5 too. So, this is a tough one. I just have a hard time going against Clemson with the way their defense can play. And I love Lawrence. I love Etienne. And I agree with what your analysis of the Wolfpack, but it's just hard for me with this game in Death Valley. I could see it's easier for me to see Clemson rolling in this game than it is for me to see North Carolina State being truly competitive in this game. It's more likely, I think, that it's going to be a blowout than North Carolina keeps it close, so to speak. So I'm in blowout potential just based on how good Clemson is leading me to go 17.5. I'm really grasping at straws here to make a pick. I'm going Clemson, but
one of the biggest pieces to remember is North Carolina State and West Virginia were supposed to play each other earlier this year, and then they had the hurricane over in the Carolinas, which canceled the game. That would have been a great litmus test for us to have at this point in the season. Granted, West Virginia is definitely on the downturn following that game, but that is a dynamic offense that you can really see how, if that North Carolina State defense is capable. So it's kind of tough. Obviously, neither of us have been diehard NC State fans watching all these games, but you pick off of what you've got, and I'm taking NC State in the points. It sounds like you're going Clemson.
Yeah. I'm reluctantly taking Michigan and Clemson. That's not like I'm very confident in either way.
Right. Next game up, Mississippi State heads to LSU. Tigers coming off of a massive victory against Georgia last week. Absolutely blew the doors off the Bulldogs. Speaking of Bulldogs, Mississippi State comes in at 4-2. Haven't played great lately. They beat Auburn last week, but they have scored 7, 6, and 23 points in the last 3 weeks. There is no pass game for Mississippi State. Yeah. This line is 7 points. The over-under is 45. I honestly, if I were to bet the over-under, I would probably take the over because I just feel like LSU's offense has been rolling like that. I think Mississippi State has a good defense. Joe Burrow hasn't been great, but I think with how good Mississippi State's running game is, I'd take LSU and the over because I feel like this could get to be like a 27-19, weird kind of score game where LSU wins it. But I'm going to take the Tigers, and I'd lean towards the over.
I'm so back on LSU after that win against Georgia.
Yep.
They made a Georgia offense that I think is superior to Mississippi State look incredibly pedestrian.
Yeah.
I'm all in on the LSU defense, and, their offense is playing well. I think this is pretty simple to me. It's 7.5, right? I'm going to probably take the hook, get it at 7 just in case shit gets a little weird and it's a touchdown. But I think this is the first of the games we've talked about that I will actually have action on, and I will be betting on LSU.
Then it's the nightcap. By that, I mean 30 minutes later. Oregon heads to Pullman, Washington State. I believe that's where game day is. Finally, game day up in Wazoo. Cougars 3-point favorites following Oregon's huge overtime win over Washington. That was my one good pick of the week last week. I had Oregon plus the points and Oregon money line. Ducks up to number 12, still alive in the playoff race, but just barely. They need this win if they want to get a chance to get into the top 10 and play their way into the race. Over under 68. Who are you liking in this one?
I got to go Oregon, I think. I
love it.
Washington State just doesn't have a win that really gets the juices flowing or gets the confidence going, for me at least. Oregon, we've seen them play very well against some good teams, in Herbert, I think, is the better of the two quarterbacks. And I just think they're poised to go up there and have a big week. But I do think there's going to be a lot of points scored.
Yeah, I mean, this is the MO of Mike Leach's offense, which is why they always have a chance in these games. It's just throw the ball as much as you possibly can. Gardner Minshew II, that's Washington State's quarterback, hell of a name, has had a really good year, but I still, like you said, I think Justin Herbert is the better quarterback. I already hammered 3 units on Oregon plus 1.5. I did another 3 when I saw the line got to 3. I'm also in for 3 units on the money line for Oregon, so you better believe that is my play of the week. I'm going to call it my lock of the week, so that means Oregon's going to get blown out, as I haven't won a lock of the week in God knows how long. But I like the Ducks.
Yeah, I love them. I love them here. So what's the official money line at?
135.
Jesus. Yeah, you got to go Oregon. That's too nice of a price.
Yes, so that'll be my pick. I'll call it the money line. I'm not going to say the points. We'll be true to the game here. I'll go through the rest of my card. It's not very big. Most of my bets are on Oregon this week. I've got Oklahoma minus 8.5 at TCU. Oklahoma needs to win. That's the only way they're going to have a chance. They cannot lose another game in the Big 12. They were gifted the opportunity to be in the Big 12 title game still, with West Virginia losing at Iowa State last week. TCU is really struggling. Yes, it's a home game, but Oklahoma needs to come out and play well in this one. Syracuse minus 8.5 at home against North Carolina. Cuse is at home, different from obviously taking on North Carolina on the road. They're in the Carrier Dome. Not much of a home field advantage, but enough where I think it makes a difference. North Carolina is 1-4. They have not played well this year. Going to definitely like the orange in that one. Louisiana Tech minus 23.5 against UTEP. Worst team in the country, UTEP. They did cover the last time I bet against them, but they won't this time. And I'm taking the over just as some insurance. It's at 48, super low. So I think that's an easy hedge right there. You don't get rich betting against Alabama, so I'm going to bet Bama minus 29 in Rocky Top. Just does not feel like a game they won't win by a ton, even if Tua isn't playing. Kansas, Texas Tech, I'm taking the over 58. It's in Lubbock. Kansas has kind of scored a little bit this year, and Texas Tech has a high-powered offense per usual. And the last game is the nightcap, 11 p.m. Central Time start, Nevada at Hawaii, over 67. Nevada scores a ton. Hawaii scores a ton. Even if Cole McDonald is out again, the Wolfpack will still score enough to keep up with the Warriors. This will be over 67.
Okay. One line I wanted to mention to you that I've been eyeing is one game I want to talk about is Auburn at Ole Miss.
Yes.
Auburn, 3.5-point favorite. Auburn is trending downward. Gus Malzahn, job security, probably in danger, I'd say. Fair to say?
I think he just signed an extension last year, so I wouldn't say he's totally in trouble, but he's certainly not as good as he was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. But Ole Miss, we've talked about this off the air. They score a ton of points, but it just seems like Auburn is just such a better team. I have a hard time believing that Auburn's going to lose this game, but
when you're a high-scoring team like Ole Miss or like a Washington State, you've got a puncher's chance in pretty much any game. Yeah. And that's pretty much what they're going with here, because it's so hard to tell what Auburn you're going to get.
Right. Yeah, I think I don't know. I just like Auburn in that game. I just think they're just a way better team, and I think they don't play a lick of defense. And I think it's a game where Auburn can play good enough defense, and their offense can come alive with Stidham and company. So I think Auburn, as much as they've kind of been a bit of a letdown the past 3 weeks or so. I think they're a solid play. Oh, also that LSU line is down to 6.5. I love that line now.
Keep it going. Keep it coming down.
I love it. Another line that I think I really like is Ohio State, believe it or not. Purdue is not very good. Guys, this is a team that lost to Eastern Michigan at home. Yes, it was early in the year, but Ohio State is absolutely – they're just a wagon. And I know they didn't look so good against Minnesota. They could have played a lot better at home. But, I mean, you know, Purdue's got the capability to put up a lot of points. But, I don't know. I think Dwayne Haskins and company are going to go in there and just put up big-time numbers. And Purdue just really isn't that good. Like, they're an average team on the softer side of the Big Ten. Like, they're in the Big Ten West. They're not really all that good. They don't really have an impressive win this year or anything like that. Ohio State's going to be far and away the best team they've played this year by a huge majority. Ohio State's one of the best teams in the country, period. So also got some tough news this year recently with Bosa not coming back, but,
right.
Going to prepare for the draft. But not that it has anything to do with the game, but just a little side note. But, I think Ohio State's just way better than Purdue. So I really like them.
That feels like a Saturday morning line that I'll pick up.
Yeah. It's Purdue's plus 13 at home. Game's at 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern. Just kind of going through stuff. The only other thing that caught my eye is just the matchup itself of Memphis, Mizzou in the middle of October is kind of interesting. I don't know how that came about, but these are two teams that really know how to score. So this could get really interesting.
Yeah. And, Memphis last week was held to a meager 30 points against UCF. So you better believe they're going to try and score a bunch. Missouri, also a team with a great quarterback that likes to score.
Yeah. Drew Lock is really good. Couldn't cover, though, against Bama, right?
No.
Yeah. Bama finally didn't get backdoor covered for first time in like 2 weeks. So
that Auburn game Arkansas game made me sick.
That was unbelievable. What was
13 seconds left.
Yeah, that's a tough one. UNC's really bad. I kind of like your Syracuse pick there.
I'm a little gun shy because the last time I picked Syracuse, I think they lost outright no. I don't remember. They were playing Pitt. They either barely squeaked by or they lost straight up. So not what you're looking for.
I got two more lines I actually really like. My card is starting to fill up, but
love it. Keep it coming.
Cincinnati's going to beat Temple.
Yeah. Oh no, I like Temple.
You do?
Yeah, Temple's actually favorite in the game. I was hoping they would be slight dogs so I can get them with the points and money line, as that's my new thing. How about Baylor last week, real quick? So close. They were in the game. They had a chance at the end. Would have been a huge payout for me. Saved my whole weekend, and they blew it.
Yeah, you said this is a game that felt like, now that Texas is back, they're poised for a huge letdown, was basically, right, what you were saying?
Yep.
And, yeah. And then I like Stanford at ASU, -2.5.
All right. I like that pick as well.
Yeah, I think Stanford's actually a really good team. Anything NFL you like? Oh, yeah. And also my Illinois Fighting Illini.
Yes.
Plus 10.5 on homecoming. They gave up 39 unanswered points.
I think so.
Which wasn't even the worst run of points against them this year, which was the infamous Penn State game where they were up 24-21 nearly halfway through the third quarter and managed not to cover plus 27.5 by losing by 39. 42-0 run from Penn State in less than 30 minutes of action. So
yeah, the Clay Travis meltdown on Twitter was fucking fantastic during that game. Yeah.
Welcome to Illini Sports, but they're going to be playing a pissed off Wisconsin team this week. Lovie Smith with the quote of the week. He said he was asked about Jonathan Taylor in a press conference earlier this week,
Yep.
And Lovie Smith said that Jonathan Taylor is quote, definitely a scholarship player. So
you think?
You got that to watch out for. You got that to look forward to. Brian, any NFL picks, shifting gear in the football sphere? Any?
I do. I am really struggling in the NFL. I went 2-3 last week. I had Jacksonville, and all I wrote about it at letmebefrankblog.com was the Jags are good. The Cowboys are not. Pick Jacksonville, and they proceeded to lose 40-7. So that's just a little bit of how my week went. I have 5 picks per usual. I'm going to run through them real quick. The London game, Tennessee against LA Chargers. I'm going to take the Chargers -7. I still don't think my birthday twin, Marcus Mariota, is very good. I like Phillip Rivers in the Chargers defense. I trust them to make a play. Sure, it's a long flight to London, but, I mean, both teams are dealing with it. Buffalo starting Derek Anderson. I'm going to take Indy -7. The Colts stink, but I think the Bills are a little worse. Derek Anderson has 0 reps. He's coming straight off the street, and their backup is Nathan Peterman if Derek Anderson doesn't work. Peterman is the king of interceptions, so please, oh please, give me the Colts and just win by 7 at least. I'll take a push better than nothing. Saints in Baltimore, I'm taking the over 50. Ravens are averaging 25.5 points quietly. They did score not just 9 against Cleveland, but Cleveland is a black hole for football, so I'm not going to really take that too much into account. Saints are a super high-flying offense per usual. They're coming off a bye, so I think 50 is easily attainable for these teams, and frankly, I think either team can get it on their own. I'm going to take – I know we disagree on this one. We were talking about it pre-show. San Francisco +10 at home against the Rams. It's just part of my system. If you see a team that is 10 points or more an underdog, you just got to take them, specifically at home. That's what San Francisco is. I know the Rams are very good. CJ Beathard actually looked pretty good on Monday night against Green Bay. The defense is but you gotta get up to play this game.
That's a big deal when they're playing the Rams.
Yeah.
That's a big deal for defense isn't good.
And the last game is I was on the wrong side of Cincinnati last week, so I'm going to take Kansas City -6. I'm not going to chase the Bengals this season. Chiefs played well against the Pats, put up 40 points, still somehow lost. I think that the Bengals defense is fairly comparable to the Patriots. I think Mahomes played his worst game of the year, so he's due for a bounce back. Andy Dalton is nothing special. I like the Chiefs.
I'm back on the Falcons.
Damn it.
That's they managed to cover last week.
They did.
They made things a lot too interesting in that game. But the New York Football Giants are in absolute disarray right now.
They are.
I mean, Atlanta's offense is good. I mean, obviously they've got Freeman just went on IR, but they've been dealing with that situation for a few weeks now with Smith and what's his name, Tevin Coleman getting the yeoman's work in the backfield for the Falcons. So, I just think the Giants on the road going through a tailspin right now. Atlanta's got a superior offense, way better quarterback. I just like them. I mean, obviously Saquon and Odell are, certainly capable of making the game interesting, but
Eli stinks. That's all you really have to say.
Yeah, Eli stinks. So, I think my move this week in the NFL is you're going to be shocked if you've been listening before, but Rams and the Falcons in a bit of a teaser would be a nice little play. I think going back, CJ Beathard he's 1-6 in his career, now 1-7. He's not really a good quarterback. Kyle Shanahan is a great offensive mind, but the Rams have some good pieces on defense, and I think the receiving corps are going to be healthy for that game. And Todd Gurley's an absolute beast, so I think they win that game pretty easily. Quite frankly, I just don't think San Fran. I think Green Bay made them look a lot more competent. That Monday night game says a lot more about everybody on Green Bay that isn't Aaron Rodgers than it does about San Francisco, if that makes sense. I'm not a believer.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
I think the most interesting game of the weekend, honestly, the Bears-Patriots game is really just an interesting game.
Mm-hmm.
Patriots -3 is always an attractive pick. Like, no matter who they play, like that's such a attractive pick to me.
It's such a hard game because you don't know what defense you're going to get from the Patriots, and then, like, is the Bears defense going to play well, or is the offense going to be there? It's such a hard thing because the team's so young. New England's offense is going to score, but I mean, if they can't stop anyone, it could be a shootout.
Well, the over/under is 49.
Exactly, which makes me feel like Vegas knows something that we don't.
About like an injury or something?
I don't know. I have that sneaking suspicion.
You think it's too low?
I do.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, you could say this about a lot of NFL teams, but the Bears' front seven's really good, and quite frankly, their secondary, I don't personally think is really all that great.
I'm with you. I've been saying it all year.
And so the Patriots have, I mean, their receivers, they're not these tall, threats that
right
necessarily like deep downfield threats either.
Yep.
They're kind of like short intermediate receivers where Brady just can get the ball out quick. And I mean, he's an older guy. They don't want him taking hits. And I think Brady gets the ball out quick. And I mean, that's tough for any defense to generate a pass rush against. But for a team like the Bears, if they can't get Floyd and Mack getting after the quarterback, then that really changes the dynamic of that defense. It's kind of when you sit back there, try not – you don't really have intermediate receivers where the Bears can kind of get after you. That's when teams can shine against them. But I think it's a good quarterback that doesn't turn the ball over a lot. And Brady, with the good receiving corps, I think that poses a big problem for the Bears this week. So I'd actually be interested in seeing what New England's individual point total is going to be. I'm sure it's going to be somewhere around 27.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, I think that might actually be a really interesting play. Unfortunately, the Thursday night game tonight, when this episode drops, is just totally shitty.
Yep.
I don't really have an opinion on that game at all.
I glossed over it so fast because I just frankly didn't care.
The over-under is 42, which is either the lowest or tied for the lowest. Oh, wait, no, actually.
No, there's been some in the upper 30s this year.
Dallas, Washington is 41.5, as is the Houston, Jacksonville. Dallas, Washington, that seems kind of low. Did anyone watch Dallas's offense last week against?
Yeah, but have you seen them all season?
I know. But Jacksonville's supposed to be a good defense. And
everyone has a bad game once in a while.
I know, but 41 in an NFL game is pretty low.
Yeah, I mean, it is and it isn't. If you break it down, it's not 21-20 is 41, and I can see a lot of games ending lesser than that.
Yeah. Man, Philly, Carolina is a tough game. That's two teams where I can't figure them out. I can't figure either team out at all. And
I would take Philly at home. I don't trust Cam on the road. And the Eagles look like they're starting to click. It looks like all they needed was a game against the Giants to get their shit together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Detroit at Miami. Hard to say if we don't know who the quarterback's going to be.
It looks like it's going to be Brock Osweiler.
Again?
Yep.
Yeah, and I don't know. Something tells me Detroit will win that game. I don't know. I just can't imagine Brock Osweiler winning 2 games in a row. But
crazier things have happened.
Yeah, I'm just kind of talking out loud, but yeah. What can you go over? What was your pick again in the Titans-Chargers game?
I'm going Chargers.
Yeah, that offensive line performance last week. Tennessee.
Yeah. 11 sacks. They had more sacks, I believe, than Mariota completed passes.
Yeah, I heard they might have had more sack yardage than rushing yards too.
Oh God.
Like the sack yardage accumulated more than they got on the ground. So yeah.
Mariota was 10 of 15 passing for 117 yards, and he was sacked 11 times.
Wow. Yeah, that's tough. And Minnesota's just a better team, quite frankly, than the Jets. That's a byproduct of an NFL team on the road, right? You know, they're just gonna make it close. I would leave Minnesota in that game. I mean, I don't think Minnesota has looked fantastic against some teams they should have looked a lot better against, but the Jets are the Jets, and I mean, although Darnold's got a promising future, I mean, they're still the fucking Jets, and I mean, Thielen and Diggs might be one of the best tandems in the league at receiver. So, you know, Dalvin Cook coming back adds another element for them. And going off what you said with Buffalo, man, I want to bet on Indy, but like Indy stinks.
You're gonna bet on Derek Anderson?
I don't think I'm
or Nathan Peterman.
I don't think I'm going to bet the game at all. Is what I'm saying.
I mean, that's a smart move, but
it's just a total stay away because I can't trust the Colts. But
I trust Andrew Luck far more than I trust Nathan Peterman / Derek Anderson.
Yeah, that game is just wild.
And I mean, if you look at the Colts, they've lost a couple. I mean, they're 1-5, but they've lost most of these games close.
The Philly game for sure.
Philly, they lost by 4. Houston, they lost by 3. New England, they were in it, and then they lost to the Jets by 8. Like that, these are pretty much 3 one-score games that they lost.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Unless we have NBA and NHL now going, and a little postseason baseball.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as we're recording this, LA is up 3-2 in their series, and you know, it's 3-2 Boston right now in the third inning. So hard to say. You know, obviously a big game 5 either way. You know, it's either 2-2 going back to, you know, with a chance, you know, for a team to be up a game in the series, going back to Fenway, or a team's got a chance to go to the World Series. So can't really – I don't know if you got any baseball picks or anything NBA. I know our Chicago Bulls, the TNT Bulls.
The TNT Bulls.
Tonight – they are on, and if you want to retire early,
bet the Bulls.
Plus 614.
It's a very high value pick in Philly. I mean, really, all you need is Ben Simmons or Markelle Fultz to think they're a good shooter and take, you know, a majority of the shots away from a guy like Embiid, and all of a sudden you got yourself a game. I mean, the Bulls are going to score points this year. They are arguably the worst defensive team in the league, so they're going to have to score.
Yeah, the over in that game is 215.
Yeah, love that.
that is wild. The NBA regular season, just in general, I hate betting on it.
It's so difficult. Just
got a bet in tonight, first bet of the year, and it's going to be a loss, of course.
Naturally.
Oh, maybe not. Folks, we might be back. The Rockets down 17 at halftime tomorrow, or 17 at halftime today. I don't know what the hell that was. Went down as many as, I think, 24 in that game. I think I saw it was 97-73 at one point.
Yikes.
The Rockets locked in at plus 7.5. And it's now 7. They're down 17 going into the fourth quarter. So, yeah, we'll
just need a little comeback. It's not unheard of here.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And, yeah, I'm trying to think. There's just some interesting teams this year. I mean, the Raptors are now possibly an interesting team to bet on with Kawhi in the fold. You know, so.
Insert Kawhi laugh here.
Yeah. How's he doing tonight?
He should be happy where he is. I have no idea what his stat line is.
He's 9-22 from the field.
22 points, 11 rebounds. So pretty nice night for him. Pretty good debut. but
yeah, off an injury. Well, he hasn't played in a long time, man, for debut with a new team. I mean,
yeah, I would say if you're looking for NBA advice, bowls overs are the way to go.
Yeah, the bowls overs are going to be interesting. Yeah, Zach LaVine is trash on defense. They don't have Lauri Markkanen.
Jabari Parker is trash on defense.
Jabari Parker. Oh, my God. Yeah, no Lowry, though.
Antonio Blakeney is terrible on defense.
Yeah, Chris Dunn, I mean, is good.
He's a good defender, but that's about it. Him and Wendell Carter Jr. are the only good defenders.
Yeah, Wendell's like 19.
Yep.
So
that's the Bulls.
Yeah. It's so good to be us, right?
It is. Any last picks here before we go?
I don't think so. I'm honestly been kind of disappointed in the football slates the past couple of weeks. I don't know why. It's just these games aren't really exciting me that much, but that's what gambling's for, right? To kind of enhance the weekend.
Yep. Bring up that interest a little bit. But as always, give us a listen. We will be back next week. And Nick, good luck to you.
Thank you. You too, Brian. Let's not go 4-11 this week.
I'm hoping not.